Hey guys, it's Michelle with Women Who Wow, the coaching and mentoring platform for the seriously driven woman entrepreneur. And I am here for another episode of Coaching from the Couch, which is designed to be an informal little conversation, an impromptu gathering, a meeting of the minds here. And I am not on my couch, as you can tell. I'm in a hotel room, and I am excited to be doing what I'm doing in Nashville, Tennessee. And I just wanted to talk with you a little bit about free versus fee, and really like how do you decide like what you give for free in terms of content or showing up, videos, trainings, etc. So what do you give to get people to sign on, right? Like to say, yeah, I want more, let me buy from you, versus what do you make kind of behind the curtain? And this is something that I've obviously struggled with a few times over the years, and it is difficult because you do want to be able to provide free content to show your value, to let people know what you're like, to let people know your bedside manner. There is some value to that, but how much do you make free? And then what do you decide is only for paying clients or paying members or patients or whatever it is that you do, right? And so this is something that I get asked about a lot. Before I get on to that, I've got to tell you, I am in a hotel that was not the way it was advertised online, to be very honest. It's clean and it's safe and it has a bathtub, which is part of my a mandatory thing for me. But it is I will never forget, like occasionally I'll get on these kicks where I'm like, I want to stay in like a non-branded hotel, like a boutique hotel, not a big name. So I haven't done that in at least like 7 or 8 years, because the last time I did that, I had my assistant at the time make a reservation for me. I'm like, no big name hotels, look for something boutique and, safe, like in a certain area. And so my husband and I pull up to this hotel. This is like 8 years ago. And there was, it was March, and there were Christmas lights on the hotel, and they were falling down, like dragging the ground. And when we pulled up, there was like a bus, like a school bus of kids like coming in to this hotel. And I was like, this is just, I was so out of my element that I didn't even know like what to say. So Chris and I just like kept walking. We walked up and I had actually called and talked to Barbara, who was at the front desk, and I came up there, and I was we got our room or whatever, and Chris and I are totally like not listening to our gut, not listening to our intuition. We walk up to the second floor, and we're walking down the hallway, and we noticed like a lot of congregating in the hallways, and we felt like we maybe were interrupting something. We go in our room, and I notice immediately that the window was open, right? Like what windows open in hotels, right? And the windows in the hallway were open too on the second floor. And so like the breeze is coming in, and so Chris is like sitting on the edge of the bed. We know at this point like this is just not what we can do. And so I said, well, the good news is we will, if anything happens, like we could jump out the window and make it. What I'm saying? It's only on the second floor. And Chris is like, yeah, I'm really not trying to do that. So we went downstairs, and I said, Barbara, we're not going to be able to stay here. And she immediately said, why, do you not feel safe? And I'm like, like, why wasn't your first thought bed bugs or like the coffee maker doesn't work or, whatever, right? Like, no, why do you not feel safe? And I was like, I'm so sorry, because she took such pride in that hotel, and she felt offended that we might not feel safe there. And I felt horrible. And right about this time, this woman comes up from behind me, and she like reeks of bourbon, right? And she comes up behind me, and she's like right here, and she's like, it's a really great hotel. And I was like, oh my God. So anyway, Barbara was going to refund our money, which at that point we didn't care. We were leaving anyway. And so she's going to refund our money. And she takes my card, I guess put the money back on the card, whatever they did back then. And she holds it back. She's like, y'all didn't do anything up there, did you? I'm like, Nope, never even crossed our minds. Anyway, so I thought of that experience today or actually yesterday when I checked into this hotel. Again, for the first time since that little, experience, I thought, you know what, I don't want to stay in a chain hotel. I want something a little boutique-y. I went online myself. I picked out what I thought was like a cool vibe hotel. Like I liked the pictures and, all of this stuff. And it wasn't a name that I knew, and it was close to the airport. Anyway, not how it was described online, but clean and safe, and it's going to be fine. So I want to get to the free versus paid kind of thing. How do you decide what you're going to give away for free? How do you decide what you're going to give away, or sell to your people? So I do want to share this if I could. Here we go. So I'm going to share this on my personal page so that people will see it. And this is a question that I get just asked so often. It's one of the top questions I get because I do create so much content. And the question is always, how do I decide what I put out there for free for public consumption? What do I keep within the membership? What is a free training? What's a members only training? How do I decide, frankly, between what's a members only training and what is a higher level training? So there's a lot that goes into this, and I know that we get so many questions. So I'm going to go ahead and share this over to my personal page while we're talking. So obviously, if you guys have any questions, let me see, how to decide what is free and what you charge for. So, okay, so I just shared that over. So this came up a lot actually yesterday with the members only e-coaching. Last Tuesday of the month is always e-coaching day. It's where members can send absolutely anything to me and get a response back by the end of the day in terms of they can send their sales pages or their questions or whatever. And it came up a lot yesterday regarding what do you give away for free? What do you have people pay for, etc. And so I'll tell you kind of where I've been in my business and then where I've evolved to. So my rule of thumb in the earlier years was that I would give away the what, but I would charge for the how. So that was kind of like what guided my decisions. So it was almost like I'd give away the what in terms of letting them know, like, there is a solution, here are the components to that solution, or it's almost like ingredients but not a recipe. Would be the best way to describe that. So that's one way to look at that is, give them the what, but charge for the how. So give them the ingredients list, but charge for the recipe in terms of how to put it all together. And the reason you do this isn't because you are a greedy human. It's really because you need their investment in order to get them to a place where they're really willing and ready to walk it out with you. And so this is about their commitment. In our society, that is how you show commitment in our society, a commitment to a decision, etc. In fact, I remember my very first coach saying, people who hire coaches are the most committed. They are putting their money where their mouth is. And so anyway, that's one way, like charge for the how, but give away the what for free. But here's where, I guess the next, iteration of how I've approached this, especially having a freebie, free content mixed with content that's for members only, mixed with stuff that isn't even given to members. They have to pay for extra, and or different programs that I offer or what have you. So I got from the what versus the how into the information versus the transformation. And so I readily will share information that is, relevant, and my my lens is it empowering, is it encouraging, and does it equip people who are listening? And so that's one of the first things that I do. If it goes through that lens, then I will publish it. And so information I publish for free. Information is really like, the cost of showing up, right? It's a dime a dozen. You can Google pretty much anything that you want these days and get a ton of information. And so information is almost like the cost of doing business. And so I'm always willing to put out information for free. What I do within membership and higher level programs is transformation, right? So the information is like you can consume it, like it, lump it, implement it, forget about it, right? Like there's just no commitment there with what people do with that information. But if you want transformation, then you're going to commit. You're going to, if you want something changed, if you want something transformed, if you want something shifted, then you're going to have to bring more of yourself to the table. And so for me, one of the distinctions that I make now is like, is it information, right? It's just my spin on the information. Or is it transformational, right? So is it something that really has the power, if a committed person grabs hold of it, does it really have the power to transform, shift, or change whatever it is that you want to transform, shift, or change in your client's life, right? So that's where I kind of ended up in the middle. And I still think of that to this day. The comments about Women Who Wow they always blow me away. Like people will say, I did this one training and I never used emojis in my life. There's a training in the membership about, how to create Facebook posts. I was like embarrassed to do it because it's so stupid simple, but I had kind of stumbled on something that got a lot of attention and that worked really well. So I shared that in the group, and it was actually one of our male members, and he's like, I used it. I've never used an emoji in my life. Like it worked. I got 5 new paying clients, all of that stuff. So I love that, and what's happening within the walls of Wow isn't that there's just a ton of information there. It's that the way they do business, the way they show up to their market, the way they are engaging and interacting with their clients and prospects is being transformed. Day by day, our members are shifting into being the person that gets the results that they want to get, right? It's something that is it's kind of the point, I guess, of membership, is that the way they do business is transformed. I'm not just trying to overlay their business with a bunch of different strategies and tactics, because that creates overwhelm, right? That creates overwhelm, and people don't want to be overwhelmed. They don't want more and more to do, especially not our people. We want money freedom and time freedom. And if we had to choose, which we don't, but if we had to, we would choose time freedom, right? So the idea of hiring someone to add a bunch of stuff to your plate does not really interest us. We want the way that we're showing up to be absolutely, nearly surgically transformed, so that we can show up as ourselves, so that it can be kind of easy, and it doesn't have to be like we are, walking uphill to school in the snow both ways every day. So it's the transformational thing that really is what we're about. So when you are considering what to give away for free, what to sell, think of it: is it information and or is it transformational, or is it the what or is it the how? The other thing to think about with regarding to what people pay you for versus what they are getting for free on your blog or your YouTube channel or whatever is, do they get access to you, right? And so that matters, because you're amazing at what you do. And so a doctor may have a ton of information about eczema on their website, a dermatologist, but in order to get a nuanced prescription or a nuanced remedy, a nuanced transformation of your skin, you're going to have to go in and see them. You're going to have to pay for access. And so you want to think about that as well. It's not just the what you're putting out there, the words or the video or the audio, and like how much should be included. It's also, have you arranged your business in such a way that people are paying for access to you, right? It sounds almost, I don't know, it sounds conceited maybe, but the truth is doctors do this, lawyers do this, right? It's like you pay for access. You pay for a nuanced remedy to whatever it is that you're doing. And so while I can read a book on organizing or downsizing, that will only get me so far. If I really wanted to do that, I would be hiring Brenda Mason, right? Is it Tiny House Bigger Living or Bigger Life or something like that. And so, I would hire her because she's done it. She knows she can give me a nuanced prescription for how to downsize, how to organize my house. And so you want to think in terms of that as well. Like, are you charging for access to you? So like members of Women Who Wow have email access to me, phone access to me. Like, we have a lot of access. It's a high touch community. And so even if I did nothing different regarding my information within the walls of Wow versus outside the walls of Wow, it would still be something that people wanted to pay for. So I throw that out there. And then I'm going to end with this. If you have any questions for me, definitely just put them in the comments below. But I've also definitely shifted in the past, I don't know, 2 years maybe, away from having like hard and fast guidelines or asking, is this the what or is this the how, or is this information or is it transformational? Like, I've kind of shifted away from that, and I really go with my gut in terms of what I'm putting out there. So for me, a constant journal prompt every day for me is the first people I write for are my members, and that is the Entrepreneurial Espresso. It's the daily kick in the butt that you need to get your entrepreneurial spirit awake the way we drink coffee in the morning. But I do that first. And today, right now, our Entrepreneurial Espresso is being replaced by the Practice, Purpose, and Profit program. But either way, the first people I write for every morning are our members. And before I do that, I say, like, what do they need to hear? And I'm thinking of my members. I'm not thinking of the masses. I'm not thinking of people who aren't already part of Women Who Wow. What do they need to hear? I know these people. I talk to these people. I know their businesses. I know what stage they're in. So, like, what do they need to hear right now? And then I write that for my members. And there are times and I feel like, this is really good. Like, I should scrap this as an Entrepreneurial Espresso. I should make this a public post because I want other people to read this. I think they would join Women Who Wow if they read this post. But I always go with what comes up first, right? I always just trust that when I really am tuned in to what my people need, that they get exactly what they need, and I'm not going to change it midstream and make it public because it might get me a little bit more attention or accolade or members even, right? So, and then I do the same thing after I write my Entrepreneurial Espresso post. I'm like, okay, well, what do other people need? Like, what do I feel like they need? The people who are dancing around Women Who Wow, the people who appreciate the daily resources. Maybe they feel like they can't afford Women Who Wow, but they've been in the same position in their business for way too long. What do they need to hear? Maybe they're overworked, overwhelmed. Maybe they're sick of dotting all their I's and crossing their T's. Maybe they're sick of being obscure in their industry. Like, what do they need to hear? And so then I just either go live with that or start typing, and I really just trust that answering those two questions, which puts the market first, right? It's not about what I'm selling. I always have a call to action, but I don't have like let's say if I were selling Birthing an Empire right now, which I'm not, but if I were selling Birthing an Empire right now, and I don't sit down and say, okay, I'm selling Birthing an Empire, I need to write about branding or becoming in demand. Like, I'm not thinking like that, right? I let the message be the message. And then on the end of that, then I'll tack on a call to action. Sometimes it's like, don't forget, we've got this coming up, or, whatever it is. So, anyway, it doesn't have to be related, but I focus first on my market. What do I feel like they need to hear today? And that's what I give them. So I hope this helps. I've seen some new names pop up here today, so I appreciate you. If you're a Women Who Wow member, I love you for that. If you are not a Women Who Wow member, but you are a seriously driven woman entrepreneur, then you've got to become a member. So message me, m.me/Women Who Wow. If you have any questions about this topic or about anything else that you want me to cover on another episode of Coaching from the Couch, definitely shoot it over to me so I can answer those questions, and I'll talk with you guys soon. Bye.